It's a beautiful morning, almost spring here in Alberta. And this morning we're gonna smoke up some deer jerky. So another reason for the video today is we're also going to be doing a bit of a upgrade on the Bradley 6 rack here. 0 degrees Celsius this morning. You can see the Bradley is on full. Just had it open a few minutes ago, but it's struggling to hit 150. Maybe after 10 minutes we get it up to about 150. Our deer's been in here for just over an hour. So we just put the smoke on. First hour we didn't have any biscuits in the smoke box. So that's what she looks like after about an hour. It was running about 130, 140. And now we're getting it up to about 150. The vent about half open. We had it closed to get the temperature up. So, like I said, the reason for the video this morning is we're going to be upgrading the burner in the bottom because it just doesn't get hot enough for us to be smoking here in Canada in the springtime or anything. So the 500 watt ceramic element in here is going to be getting changed out to the 900, and I'm sure everybody's seen the videos on YouTube on this upgrade. So we're going to walk you through it, and we're going to do another video tomorrow morning with our second batch of deer jerky with the 900 watt, and we'll check in to see how the smoker performs. Okay, so here we have the smoker. We did some jerky today. We were lucky because it was warm outside and we didn't have any issues with the temperature, but we are going to be changing this burner out. So here's the stock 500 watt element. And as discussed, we're going to be doing the 900 watt upgrade. So we also got some high temperature 14 gauge wire. We open up the back of the unit. We're gonna have a look at the wiring and make a judgment call if we're gonna change the wiring. So for starters, we're gonna remove the guards, remove the burner, and then around the back side, we are going to remove all these screws and get to the insulation and the wiring. Okay, so here we have dismantled the burner, taken the burner out, and as soon as we put our hands on the wires, you can see this one has the eyelet here. This one here basically just fell right apart. Eyelet broke right off. So that's not good. Potential fire hazard, I would say. So here's what the back of the unit looks like. There's the back panel. This is where the wiring goes to the junction point. So if you're going to take these wires off, it shouldn't matter on polarity, but I put them back the same way they came off. So looking like some type of a fusible link here. And yeah, this is where that wire connector broke off. So I think we'll be replacing that with the newer 14 gauge high temp wire. So we'll get to that. We'll start pulling this out. Make up a little harness here. Probably see if we can stuff it in this. Somehow reuse this heat shield. Take this apart. You can see some connectors up in there. So we'll take this all apart next. And then we'll fit the new burner on here. We'll fit this in here, somewhere like this. Drill some new holes, get that mounted up next. Okay, so we marked out our holes, drilled them out. We put some 1/4-inch bolts, tighten those nuts up. Now we have our burner here, Temco 900 watt. That's where we hook our wires. Let's see how our holes line up. Try and do this with one hand. Looks pretty good. And I just tried to level it to the ceramic insulators. It fits right in between them, as you see. But what we're going to do, we're using, we call these whiz nuts and whiz bolts. They're flange nuts. We're going to put a flange nut on just to stand the burner off the back wall a bit. So I'm trying to do this left-handed. So let's just see how that looks. The gap back there. Bring them out a little more. I think as long as we just get a full nut here, we should be looking pretty good. Okay, so that's about where we're gonna park that. And I put these ceramic insulators back on so we can run our wires back through the holes again. And then we'll make up some new wires and run them through here, and we'll be back. So we're gonna have a look at how we mounted the new burner. That's how we routed the wires. These caps here have to go back on over top like that to hold the heat shield. So you need to route the wires accordingly so they aren't touching anything or get pinched on anything. So we did install the new wires in the back. We've got it buttoned up. The hardest part was running it through the heat shields. These heat shields here. If I was to do it again, I would have bought new heat shields as well, a little bit larger, because those had 18 gauge wire, and we put in 14 gauge. But besides that, we're going to install these heat shields for the burner, and then we're going to see if we can get it working and test it out. Now that it's early in the morning here, and even though it looks beautiful outside, it's about 0 degrees Celsius. So a good chance to get this new burner tested. Okay, I'll be back shortly. Okay, so here's our first test with the 900 watt burner. It's been just about 20 minutes. Outside it's windy, so I'm sure you can tell with the microphone, and 0 degrees Celsius. So we've been able to get up to 200, just over 200 degrees in roughly 20 minutes. I'm gonna let it keep climbing and see what it'll do. So yesterday morning, same time, same temperature, everything the same with the original 500 watt stock element. We were sitting at about 125, 130 is as high as we could go until it warmed up outside. And the highest I got all day, even in the afternoon heat, no wind yesterday, was about 175. So we're already doing much better. Just in the time I've been talking here, it's still climbing. It just climbed 5 more degrees here in a minute. So we'll see how high it goes and we'll check back in. Okay, so here we are back. It's been about 30 minutes. I think we're probably getting close to as high as we're gonna get. And checking the temperature. It's like about 270, 275. So we are at least 120 degrees hotter than what we were yesterday at the same time with this 900 watt burner. And the next test is going to see if we can control the temperature with the stock temperature adjustment. So as you see, we've got some jerky ready, we've got some hot and spicy in the bottom, some cowboy on the top, and we are going to let this cool down. Obviously that's way too hot for smoking jerky, but you'll see in a minute that won't take long for that gauge to come down. So we still have the stock sensor in the back. I did rewire it like I mentioned. And I'm going to be putting in no water. Obviously this rack is something to be desired. I did pick up some different racks here off Amazon that have a cross pattern in them. A little better for holding some of these smaller pieces of jerky after you go through and work it through the marinade. Sometimes they break up, so we're going to do our best to get this stuff smoked today. And this is our hot and spicy. As you can tell, it's definitely more red than the cowboy. One of the things I was thinking about doing was see a lot of people putting fans in these smokers. I was wondering about using a wood stove fan. Doesn't need any power. It's rated for about 600 degrees. So looking for a small one of those. If anybody has any experience with that, you can leave your comments in the bottom and that would be appreciated. Any experience with a wood stove fan, eco fan they call them. So here we are. I'm not gonna put the smoke on quite yet. Let's see how we're getting. You can see the temperature outside. Didn't take long for that to drop. So we'll check on recovery now that the box itself is warm. So the thing I like about these Bradleys is that this smoke box with the biscuits, it actually has its own burner, which is cool. So you don't have to get the smoker up to really high temperature like you do with a lot of other ones to get a good rolling smoke on here. All you have to do is feed a couple biscuits. And I think that's why, if you look at the back, you look at the rating, you know, it says 625 watts. Well, I guess that would include the element on the smoke box, because the smoker element is 500 watts. So I guess that would put the smoke biscuit element at about 125. Okay, there we have it. She's already climbing back up. We're going to try to hold it at about 100 and maybe 150 here for the first hour, and then we'll see how we're doing. We'll check back in. Okay, so we're going to do something a little different in this upgrade video than I haven't seen anybody else do. For anybody that is wondering how much power this unit's actually drawing, here's about 15 minutes with fully stacked meat back to recovered temperature. Here's our temperature gauge on low. Now, what we've done inside the shop here, I'm just going to show everybody. Here's our main panel. This is our incoming leg that we have the smoker hooked up to. So right now, total draw, of course this is on the house, but it's 2.5 amps. So in case anybody's curious, if we were to put this at, say, half power, how that would affect how much amperage is coming in. Now we're up to 5.25. So kind of interesting, I think. And if we were to juice this right up, full throttle, we are up to 8.7. So on low it was 2.5. Probably have some other clocks or something plugged in the house. I could isolate it, you know, here on the breaker that it's plugged into, but I find that I get a more accurate reading on the main leg coming in. So there's 8.7. Now, interesting again, I have this heat gun plugged in, so we're into an extension cord with the smoker and the heat gun, which is dual element, courtesy of Mastercraft. I'm going to put it on high. This unit is rated for 1500 watts. Let's put it on high. Now, because I do use this from time to time, wants to walk away, just put it in the gravel. I do use that from time to time through the top hole of the smoker, actually. That's what I was using to get by when the temperatures were really cold. So look at that. We're at 19.4 for amps. Let's turn it off. 19.4 drops to 8.6. So the smoker itself went from 2.5 to 8.5 using the temperature gauge. So 6 amps. But then when we plugged the heat gun in, it went up almost 12 amps. So anybody knows a typical circuit is 15 amps. So it'd be a matter of time before we'd trip that breaker, I'm sure. Anyway, just thought you guys might want to know what kind of power these units are drawing. That's with the 900 watt element in there. I should have checked it before to see if there was a difference, and maybe if somebody still has one of these in stock form, they can do a video similar to that. I'd be curious to see. Anyway, hope you enjoy the video.